Welcome to Delicious by Debbie, and today there's a little story behind what we're going to make today. I had a friend years ago who had a lot of us ladies over for a Bible study, and then after the Bible study she had this recipe she wanted us all to learn and make so we could go home and make it for our families. I don't know where the name came from that she called it, but she called these little, I call them a pocket sandwich, but she called them Chug-a-Lugs. I'm not sure where that came from, but that's what she called them, and that's what my kids called them. But to better describe them, I kind of call them a pocket sandwich. And so I thought we would just make enough of them for lunch today for my husband and I. I've kind of changed the recipe over the years. There are different variations that you can use for these little sandwiches, but the way that I'm going to do them today is the way we like them best. And as I'm making them, I'll tell you a little bit more about how the recipe has evolved for me and changed in the past years. I already have a pound of ground beef that I've cooked, crumbled, and frozen, and I got that out of my freezer and put it in the microwave for just a few minutes. I won't need all of this today, but I will freeze what I don't use, and then I will use it for another batch of them another day. So we've got our cooked crumbled ground beef. And to that, and it's still cold, but that's okay because I'm gonna bake these in the oven anyway, and the ground beef is completely cooked. I had already pre-cooked it. And to that, I'm going to add some real bacon bits that I get from Sam's Club. I'm gonna add a couple of tablespoonful of the bacon bits. Just kind of spices it up a little. Let's put three nice big spoonfuls of the bacon bits in. Give that a stir. The bacon bits and the burger so far. And then I'm going to add some salt and pepper to taste. Didn't measure, just kind of eyeballing it. Now, the lady who showed us how to make this recipe, she ground up cabbage and put in hers as a filler. We don't care for that. My guys don't care for cabbage. I love it, but they don't care for it, so I don't do that. I don't add that. So far, we've done salt and pepper, bacon bits, and the burger. I'm going to add just about a half of a teaspoon of Italian seasoning. Half a teaspoon of Italian seasoning. We'll do a half of a teaspoon of minced dried garlic, or you can use fresh, or you can use the garlic that comes in the jars in water or oil or whatever. Just want some garlic in there, and some minced dried onions. And I'm going to put a tablespoon of minced dried onions. Sprinkle that all around in there. Give that a good stir. So in the bowl here we have the cooked burger, bacon bits, salt and pepper, minced dried garlic, minced dried onions, and a half of a teaspoon of Italian seasoning. Now in the past I have put, instead of the Italian seasoning, I have sprinkled a package of dry taco seasoning. I always get the low sodium, otherwise it's too salty. And I have sprinkled that on it, and that gives it a different flavor. I have also used spaghetti marinara sauce and had a little bit of that in there, just enough to moisten it a little bit, and that gives it a really nice flavor also. And this is what we're going to put in to our pocket sandwiches. Another bit of the story of these sandwiches is that when she showed us the recipe years ago, she made her own dough, yeast dough. And of course had to let it rise and everything. And that's how I used to make them. I would make the dough from scratch, I would let it rise, and then I would use, pull off portions of it to use for my pocket sandwiches. But one day I didn't have any yeast to make the dough, and we wanted some of these Chug-a-Lugs pocket sandwiches. So I had a tube of biscuits, the big ones, the grands. And I thought, I'm gonna try that and see what my guys think of that. So I did, and you know what? They liked them better than they did when I was making my own homemade dough. And my mama didn't raise any dummies, so I just thought to myself, why in the world should I bother with making the dough from scratch, letting it rise? It was an all-day procedure when I could use a tube of biscuits. So that's the way we like them now, and I'm going to do that today. If I can get it open. There we go. I use the butter tasting. I think they used to call them butter buds, but now they call them butter tasting. I use those. They have a little richer taste. There are 8 of them, so we'll be making 8 of these pocket sandwiches today. So I'm going to take 4 of these biscuits, put them on my cutting board here. And what I do is I smash them out on the board. Smash them out, make them bigger. And then we'll put the filling in the middle and wrap them up and bake them. So you don't want to make them so thin that you break the dough and you have a hole in it. That happens sometimes, and it's okay. You can pinch it together and fix it up. Still taste the same, but I try not to let that happen. So there, I've got 4 of them all ready to go, flattened out on my tray. And in the middle of each one of these, today I'm using a turkey pepperoni. My husband's trying to watch his carbs and his fats especially. So we're using a turkey pepperoni today. And I'm going to put about 3 or 4 slices in the middle of each one of these pieces of these biscuits that we have flattened out on the tray here. So that'll be the first thing we put on them. There. Got the pepperoni on them. Now we're going to take some cheddar cheese, shredded cheddar cheese, and we're going to put a pinch of that. I would say it probably is approximately a tablespoon. We're going to put in the middle of each one of these little pocket sandwiches. There we go. All right. So there we've got the cheese on them. And now I'm going to put some of this hamburger mixture in the middle of them. So just take a spoonful of it and put it in the middle of that. Kind of hold it there with my hand. Push down on it, kind of squishing it together so it stays there. Then I'm going to wrap this dough that I've flattened out on my tray here. I'm going to wrap it around, and then I'm going to wrap the ends up. So I'm making like a little pocket there with meat and cheese and pepperoni in it. And there's my first little pocket sandwich. I have a tray here. I have sprayed it a little bit, and this will make 8 of them, so I want to make sure I have room for all 8 of them. That's one of them done. I'm going to do this one. I have my oven already set at 350, and it has already let me know that its temperature is up there so that I can bake these. And you can see here on the bottom where I put it all together. And this dough is pretty pliable, you can work with it. And there it is from the top. These are really good warmed up. You can actually freeze them once you bake them. I have kept them frozen for a while in the freezer and get them out as we want them, and you can thaw them in the microwave or just let them thaw on their own and then warm them in the microwave. They're good for kids' lunches if they have a place where they can warm them up. They make a nice quick snack. Almost done. Sometimes I try to get too much stuff in them and then they have trouble getting them to close up. But you can push it down in there like I'm doing and then close it up. I wish I knew where the name Chug-a-Lugs came from, and maybe the children of my friend is not living anymore, but maybe her children will see this and be able to tell me where the name Chug-a-Lugs came from. My pepperoni is actually still a little bit frozen, but that won't hurt anything. Still works. All right. Now I'll put some cheese on them. Like I said, I've made too much meat here, but that's okay because I just put it in a Ziploc bag, put it in the freezer, and if I want it to make some more of these, I can, or I can use it in sloppy joe, I can use it in spaghetti, whatever I want to use it in to use it up. But more than likely, I'll just make more of these another day. There's another one. Okay, got that one pretty full. No one will complain about that. Two more to fill and we are finished. Each of those tubes of biscuits has 8 in it, so this is going to make 8 of these Chug-a-Lugs or pocket sandwiches, whichever you want to call them. First couple times I made them, I was worried if there were any little spots that the dough had separated and there was a little hole, but after making them a few times, I realized that doesn't really matter because they bake and once they're in the oven and they bake, the dough comes together, and even if there's a little hole, it doesn't hurt it, it's okay. Sometimes a little cheese will bake out of it onto the tray and it doesn't hurt anything. Okay, our last one. And I'll show you all of these here in a minute on the tray. They're not all perfectly shaped, but there's all 8 of them. So I'm gonna put those in the oven and show them to you when we're done. Pocket sandwiches, Chug-a-Lugs, are done. They got nice and brown. And here one is cut open so you can see inside of it, all that good stuff. It's too hot for me to eat any of it, but that's the pepperoni and cheese and burger inside that nice fluffy biscuit. Hope you'll try them sometime.